Welcome, guys, and this is your boy alertwolf here, and I am bringing to you my next series review. The next series I'm going to be reviewing is not an anime. I still have to pick one out. What I am going to be reviewing is the since I figured I already do half of the DC Nation block, I might as well do the whole thing. And so I'm going to give to you Green Lantern, the animated series, and this specific one, episode 14. And so the episode starts off, basically, you're in space, and the Anti-Monitor rips open the universe and steps into ours. And he lands on this planet that looks kind of like a junkyard wasteland place. There's a ship patrolling it, and he's ordered to leave. Doesn't say anything, doesn't move. Because he's the Anti-Monitor. He just stands there, and this ship unloads on him and hits him with everything they had. And then the Anti-Monitor just shakes it off like a G-man. He just takes it. He's like, "What? That's nothing." You know what I mean? And he annihilates them. He hits them with his beam, which cuts the ship right in half, like, and then he lands on the planet. You look down, and there are the remnants of the Manhunters, and he releases the shockwave, bam, and the shockwave starts reactivating the Manhunters, and then he says, you're all going to work for me, basically. So he repurposes the Manhunters for himself. And that shockwave spreads out throughout the universe. The next thing you see is we're back on Earth. We're in Carol's office, and you have Hal Jordan there, and he's trying to, he's just saved the universe. He wants to be with his chick. What guy wouldn't? I mean, you just came back from war. Let's get with your girl, and she's giving him crap over the fact that he disappeared for all those months and went through what he went through, but it's like, it's different now. You know about it this time. It's not going to be. It's going to be better now. And he's like, you know what? I can't wait to start testing those planes again. Let's do that, right? And she's like, well, you were gone for so long. I thought you were dead. He's like, you replaced me? She's like, yeah, it's a business. Life goes on. And she has all his stuff in a box, and she hands him the box. And she's serious because he's looking in the box. She put the freaking Green Lantern in the box. Like, there you go. Get the hell out. And he's like, maybe we'll go out tonight, do something. And she's like, yeah, we'll see. And so he leaves, and the next scene, he's flying around town. Crane falls, starts to go. It's an emergency, starts to save the day, and he saves part. He does half the job, and he's about to finish because the crane finally goes, and he goes to use his ring and catch it, and he's a little late on the jump, and all of a sudden another green helping hand picks up the crane, and he spot welds the thing, and there's another lantern, and here comes Guy Gardner in the series, and I will stop right here with my synopsis and just say that until this point in the show, especially how things were, you didn't know if the other Earth Lanterns were around. And so you guys are aware of, there's technically 4 more Earth Lanterns, although one of them doesn't count. So there's 5 altogether, but one isn't part of the Lantern Corps. So there are 4 Earth-based Lantern Corps lanterns. And so I wasn't sure if they existed, Everything's very out of order in this story, in this first season. So the Red Lanterns came first, and so I didn't know. So so back to the story. So, a newscopter sees this with this chick in it, and she's like, "Oh, look, this is the Green Lantern and some other Green Lantern," and they get interviewed on the ground, and there's a jostling for attention there, and then the next scene you see is you're in some sort of ruins and some sort of cave there's some old professor dude there, and he's discovered something important because he's super excited about it. And the next thing you see is basically you see that in the background there are statues, and the statues are the Manhunters. So there you go. You know what I mean? There are Manhunters there, and then you see the energy wave hit it, and they get activated. So that's no good for that guy. Like, that sucks. Like, oh, this is the find of the century. What do you mean these robots want to kill me? What do you mean I found a room full of Terminators, basically? So, you know. And then the next scene, it's basically... It's now... Because Guy and Hal go to talk. Because, you know, just before that, Guy had cracked, you know, some sort of joke. He thought Hal was a fanboy of some sort. And Hal's like, no, mofo, I have a ring too. And so, you know, there was that debate. And so they go up to the roof, they talk about it. And he's like, yeah, dude, you're the Lantern who abandoned the Earth and went off into space. He's like, I didn't abandon the Earth. The whole Red Lantern invasion thing happened. I'm saving the universe from that. And he's like, never heard of it. And he's like, yeah, it's just like those little blue bastards not to tell you about me. Yeah, I've replaced you. And, yeah, you should call and tell them off. He's like, yeah, man, I've never been fired from 2 jobs in the same day, you know? So he calls them up, and they're right. And it turns out that Guy is the new Green Lantern of the Earth sector. And then they crack him. And what's more is that was the jerk Lantern, or not Lantern, that was the jerk Guardian, and he loves Guy too, you know? So he likes Guy, and Guy's like, hey, what's up? You know, so all that talk about hating the Guardians love his ass. So I thought that was funny. Then they get into argument, you know, about whose sector it really is, and you know how Guy says something stupid. Hal's like, dude, don't make me take that ring from you, rookie. And he's like, yeah, I'd like to see you try. So they fight, and they're fighting outside of town, and Guy says something to the effect of, yeah, dude, winner takes the sector, you know, loser has to get out of there. And then, you know, it's funny battle back and forth. They actually did the reverse of rock, paper, scissors. Guy hit him with a rock lantern thing, and then, yeah, there we go. And, and then Hal beat it with scissors, which is kind of stupid. He should have just went paper. I don't know why the animators got that backwards. So I thought that was funny, that's a little mistaken logic there. But it's still funny. And, you know, they fight, and then eventually they get into the middle of the town, and they're by a storefront, and they're about to punch each other. They notice that there is a live broadcast going on from the reporter chick, and she's over the glacier mountain thing where they found in California, where the professor was supposed to make this remarkable breakthrough, and they said some earthly energy hit it and collapsed, and nobody's heard from the professor since then. And so before Hal can even say let's go, Guy's already gone. And that just shows you the type of guy Guy really is, because he didn't need to be told to go. He just went. You know what I mean? He doesn't need that extra push. He's not lazy about his job. He's good at it. So they go off. They argue a bit. They go inside the the ruins. And inside, you know, Guy steps on a booby trap, which almost crushes Hal. And then Guy saves Hal, and he's like, oh, you're welcome. And he's like, oh, thanks, man. And so there's a little bit of respect there, even though technically it was Guy who stepped on the trap. But whatever. You know, they find the guy, he's dead. Hal finds some writing. He translates it to no evil shall escape the Manhunters. And you look up, and there are 3 Manhunters there. And Guy cracks a joke like, dude, they sound familiar, you know? And Hal explains that these are the reasons for the Red Lanterns existing, because these are the guys that annihilated their sector. And they used to be, you know, the forerunners to the Green Lantern Corps. He's like, oh, and then they activate, and then there's a fight. And, you know, Guy decides to take the middle one, leaving Hal to deal with the 2 on the end. That didn't work out too good, because both of them get pushed back. And they decide for another plan, and they end up collapsing the structure of ice and whatnot on top of them. Basically, they collapse a mountain on them of ice. And then he calls Psylocke. Hal calls him on his ring, and he's the archivist and the information guy officer for Oa. So he's letting them know what's going on, and he's like, "You must be mistaken." He even thought it was a joke. He's like, "Are you crazy? There are no Manhunters." And he's like, "And if there are real, then I hoped you stopped them, because if you didn't, they're gonna destroy all sentient life." And Guy's like, "Yeah, I think that stopped them." And then the newscapter was there for this. And the Red Lanterns, excuse me, the Manhunters fly up and attack, and then they start fighting, and it's 3 against 2, so it's a little uneven. Eventually, during the fight, and they're not winning the fight either. They're giving as good as they're getting, but they're not winning the fight. And that's all being recorded. And eventually, Hal is near the copter. And one of the Manhunters identifies the humans inside as being sentient beings with emotions, and he goes to kill them. And Hal manages to save the copter and pull it off of him, and he tells him to get out of there. And the next thing you know, the Manhunters figure out that they're right next to a city full of people, so they go after the city. And this is where Hal and Guy get serious, and they work together. They pull off a couple of good football moves and baseball moves, and they take these 3 dudes out, the Manhunters out, like they were nothing, because they were finally on the same page. And Guy was so moved by it that he gave Hal a big hug, which is kind of funny because, they're on national TV, and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing? Get off me." And so you get, the reporter ends up congratulating both of them, both Green Lanterns, and there's no variation. She treats them equally, so that's cool. The next thing you see is, they're on the ground. They get a phone call from Carol, or not they. Hal gets a phone call from Carol, and she basically breaks up with him over the phone, on video phone, because he missed his appointment. And she's like, "This is how it's going to be, and, what about the next time, and this and that, and I can't make you choose, and we're just not meant to be together." And he's like, "I'd choose you." She's like, "That's sweet. I would never have you do that. That's your calling." And she dumps him. Chicks, man. That character was upset at him when she thought he was a flake. When she found out he was a hero, she's going to give it to him because he has a dangerous job and he sometimes can get called away. Before this, he was in the military as a test pilot. Well, that's a dangerous job. And she thought he was a flake before that. And it turns out he wasn't a flake, he's a superhero. So, I don't know. Whatever, chicks do what they do. So then Guy tries to cheer up Hal, and he gives him a good speech about, at least you have someone, basically, that cares for you. And, if I were to leave the planet, nobody would care for me. And he's like, "Well, what about your fans?" And he's like, "Well, listen, everybody loves a hero, in theory." Basically, this is another glimpse into his character, where he reveals that he's just playing a role of being a jackass. He's playing a role to be the guy everybody likes, but he knows everybody just likes him. Nobody loves him, And he's just being liked because he has nothing else. So there's that moment. And then, Hal's like, "Oh, you're almost human." And then, not to ruin it, but what he does is to help. Part of it was to put himself back into being that role of a jackass. The other part was to actually make Hal feel better. He's like, "Oh, dude, do you think now that you're done, I could get Carol's number? And I saw her checking me out. She definitely wants me. Yeah, let me get the number." So he gets a punch in the face from Hal, and basically he took that punch so that Hal would feel better. That's what he did. Then he gets summoned to Oa, so he goes to Oa, and Hal thinks he's been fired from his sector. He thinks he's about to get read the riot act. They're going to take the ring away. This is the thoughts going through his head. So I don't know if you've ever known you're about to be fired and get called into the boss's office, and then you're going in there full in argument mode because fuck it, if I'm getting fired, I'm going down on my terms. You know what I'm saying? So that's what he went to do, and then the next thing you know, They're like, dude, we're not. No, you misunderstand. Yeah, the reason why we replace you in the sector of Earth is because we don't want you to patrol just the Earth sector. You're going to patrol all of space, all of our known space, all sectors. And he's like, what? He's like, yeah, we're promoting you to honor guard. So basically, it's like he was a town cop, and now he's not only he's like he goes from being like a state trooper to in the FBI. Basically, he gets the whole kit and caboodle, and and that's the episode. Now, thoughts on where this series is going? I loved the Anti-Monitor stuff. He's a great villain. Go check out Infinite Crisis. Go check out Sinestro Wars. Go check out even Blackest Night for his stuff, and he's pretty cool, and he's super powerful. Usually when he's involved, it's a big deal, and he's a known Green Lantern villain. So that's pretty cool. I dig the Manhunters, because them as villains means that they have the license to destroy these guys and kill them without actually killing them because they're robots. So you're going to see more action out of this, I think. As far as Guy's concerned, I don't think he's going to be a main character. When I first started watching the episode, I thought he might have been, and I thought that was cool. Or maybe they were going to form all 4 Lanterns, because there are 3 or 4 characters. There's 4 main characters in the first part of the season, so I thought this was going to be all Earth-based, and I was excited. But when I think about it, since he's been promoted to Honor Guard, which makes sense, because that is his title, he's going to go all around the universe. And he can do this because the Earth is being protected by Guy. The Guy is probably going to appear towards the end of the season when things pick up, and I bet they threaten home, and you may have Guy joining in the final battle, but I do not see him being a main character. I see him being a supporting character, so there's that. I mean, I personally like Guy. A lot of people don't. I like Guy because he's a tough SOB, and he is slightly a jackass, but I do like him, or I like who he grows into. I'll put it that way. Not the him now, the him he will be later on, like in the comics, what he eventually became. But that being said, let me think. So overall, I thought the episode had a nice mix of action and comedy. I liked it. I mean, I personally, as far as the Hal Jordan's girls situation, I always liked her the best out of any of his girlfriends. But it opens it up. He's sort of like, if you watch the first half of season 1, he's more like Kirk, and now he's single, so it's okay. So this video is getting a little long, so let me wrap this up and just give you my rating for this episode. So this episode was a setup episode. Obviously, it's going to let you know what's going on. I thought it was pretty good. I thought the stuff on Earth was refreshing. I thought the animation in the beginning was amazing on the Anti-Monitor stuff. I think in American animation in general, when it comes to computer animation, tends to get better as the series moves along. So I do like that. So I'm going to give this, I would say this episode wasn't amazing. It wasn't great, but it was very good. So I'm going to give this a 3.5 out of 5. And one day I'm going to just let people know my absolute scoring scale, but that's what I'm going to say. So 3.5 out of 5. I think this was a very good episode. Wasn't great, it wasn't spectacular, but it was very good. And so I am looking forward to the rest of the season. So this has been Alert Wolf saying click it up if you like it. Comment if you must, subscribe if you can, and this is Alert Wolf again signing out.